So, Tony, based on what we kind of know right now, looks like about 100 million people were affected, right?
Right.
At the basic level, which is folks from 2005 to 2019, either individuals or small business owners, what have you, applied for credit. So their addresses, self-reported income, names, that sort of thing was breached. But the smaller category and the more serious one is about 140,000 people in the U.S. who are Capital One customers, had their social security numbers breached as a result of this. And about 80,000 people who have secured credit cards had the bank account linked with the secured card, because they make you do that when you open it. They had that bank account information breached. Where does that leave us?
Well, we like being proactive. Now, Capital One provides one of the best and one of the most recommended secured credit cards that we personally have been recommending. And the card is fantastic, and the program is fantastic, and the offer to be able to build your credit card through one of the secured credit card that reports to all three credit bureaus is equally fantastic.
With no annual fee.
And no annual fees, absolutely.
You've always been harping on that. You're not paying them to build credit, guys. It's huge.
Yeah. And not just that, usually folks who've kind of opened a secure credit card within a few months, they were able to kind of get their collateral back, or their money that secured the card back, and get their limit doubled. And
upgraded.
So it's a great card nonetheless. Breaches happen. They happened with Equifax a few months back. They've happened with almost every single bank. I heard that the Los Angeles Police Department was hacked today.
Correct. So a lot of the officers, we have friends there who their information is out there, and obviously that's even scarier for them given who they're dealing with.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's a very common thing.
It's a very common thing. And just on a side note, if you happen to be in law enforcement or any public service here in Los Angeles, and you have any questions about or any concerns about this matter, feel free to talk to us. We got you guys' back, and all of you for that matter too. But breaches are now more common than we'd like to confess, and there are many mechanisms in place to help keep our identity and our good name and our good credit and our finances secure. Now, to be completely frank, and Shiva was kind of alerting me to this, I don't think there's anybody in America whose credit information is not out there in the dark web or part of a breach somehow.
Yeah, one way or another.
Yeah.
Because Equifax is the biggest one. There have been so many companies. Unless you're someone who's very much, even if you were off the grid, credit bureaus have a file on you and there's been some sort of breach. The point is, all of us have some degree of information, including probably your social, floating out there.
Right.
So you can't lose sleep over it. Instead, what you need to do is take proactive steps.
Absolutely.
And by far the best thing you can do is what? Credit monitoring.
Absolutely.
Okay? Now, Capital One, for those who were affected by the breach, according to what they've stated, and we take them at their word considering that they already offer free credit monitoring, they'll offer more comprehensive, perhaps all three bureaus, credit monitoring to folks who were affected by this breach. So if you're affected by the breach, just basically stay in contact with Capital One. I'm a Capital One customer myself, so is Tony. We do believe that they're going to do the right thing and do that, but we still want to encourage you to be proactive. So whether or not you were affected by the Capital One breach, you should have monitoring with all three credit bureaus. There's a couple ways to arrange this.
Right.
One is to go with a paid service like Identity IQ. You pay them a monthly fee, and you get alerts, and all of your reports are monitored in great detail. Identity IQ is fantastic. Or you can do it for free. You can monitor Equifax and TransUnion through Credit Karma. You can get the app, or just log in on the computer. Credit Karma, and I can tell you this from our personal experience, will alert you, will email you the moment you apply for credit.
Yes.
Okay? And if I'm not mistaken, there may be a feature that's coming where you can even ask for a phone alert. So Credit Karma is going to alert you. So the point is, people breach and steal your information to open credit in your name or access financial accounts. If you know about that the moment it happens, you can avoid the damage very quickly, because if you were to find out there was an unauthorized inquiry that someone tried to open a card with, Wells Fargo in your name, or Wells Fargo tried to open a card in your name.
Right.
Sorry,
Wells Fargo
guys.
itself.
Sorry.
That's a good
I'll
shot,
do a lot of friends there, but I had to do it.
True.
Or Wells Fargo opened one in your name. I had to set that up. He knew it was coming.
That was good.
He's used to my jokes. So basically, if you, if you, where was I?
We were talking about Wells Fargo, and if you open an account, or if an account got opened in your name.
Too much joking around today,
Yeah.
y'all. I was watching Chappelle Show.
So Credit Karma will let you know,
We'll let you know.
if there's any inquiries,
Email.
if there's any like new accounts that pop up.
And that's really useful because
Right.
think about this. If you go and apply for a credit card today, let's say you have good credit, you open a new credit card with Chase. Okay, it takes at least 4 to 5 days for the card to get there, then you
Right.
have to activate it.
Yeah.
If you were to find out there was an unauthorized inquiry in your name and you were to alert the company who pulled your credit because someone applied, you were to alert them immediately, in a way you're helping yourself in two ways. Because A, you're avoiding the consequences of identity theft. That inquiry will be removed, the account won't be opened in your name. And B, in the long run, identity theft and these things cost banks a lot of money.
Yeah.
And guess what? They don't just take that loss, they pass it on to me and you.
Yeah.
So if all of us were more proactive about letting them know, then yes, there's a lot of unwanted fees, but a tiny portion of them might be avoided for the simple fact that these costs would not occur.
Yeah.
And they're costing billions of dollars to American consumers and financial institutions, small businesses every year. So Equifax and TransUnion on Credit Karma. Now there are some credit card issuers who only pull Experian because they're the biggest bureau.
Yeah.
And for that reason, you would want to also have either Experian.com or FreeCreditScore.com. They're completely free. Like, they have paid options. Don't use them. Just use the free option. Sign up on there, and Experian will alert you if someone applied for credit in your name. So if you do this, you got Credit Karma telling you on Equifax and TransUnion. FreeCreditScore.com is telling you about Experian, and basically you're going to know the moment there's an inquiry. And if you know, knowledge is power. If you know, you can immediately call whoever made the inquiry, call the bank immediately. And by immediately, I mean like immediately. Like 24 hours maximum you wait.
Right.
You call them and you let them know. And that's basically what you do. A lot of folks ask us, do I need to freeze my credit? That is an option. There's two issues with it though. One is if you want to apply for credit in the near future, even something small like a credit card, it can be a real hassle to lift the credit freeze and then put it back. And if you're applying for a more serious transaction, it can cause bigger issues, I know of someone who actually lost their home. They basically lost a deal to buy a home because the credit was frozen at some point later on one bureau, and when they ran their credit right before closing, they couldn't pull it, and the escrow period was up, and it was LA, and they probably could get a better offer. The whole thing. The point we're trying to make is freezing your credit's not always the best option. If you monitor your credit regularly through these platforms, you're okay. Credit freezes are not bad, but they're not necessary. That's basically it, guys. We hope Capital One does the right thing. I've been a customer for a while. I believe that they will. I can't say that of every bank that's out there.